and welcome back to Alan's Allotment. It's Saturday the 28th of January and Tony's arrived up this morning. It's now 12:10 in the afternoon, but we came up and we've just been cracking on. So I called in to Home Bargains on the way up and I got 10 bags of compost for £34, which wasn't bad at all. And I've used this compost in the past, in previous seasons, and it's actually good compost. So I got 10 bags and we've used it all already. But I've just realised I've actually got, I think it's 4 or 5 bags that I got from Aldi last year, sitting outside on the patio area. It's the premium one with seaweed in. So I'm going to top dress the last of those beds with that as well. Oh, and I just want to give a shout out to Jenny Conroy and Amir's Allotment, who had commented on the last video when I was raking the compost onto the last bed. They'd spotted a wire U-hook which had been holding some old membrane down, and somehow it got in the compost. And I did actually look for it where you said it was, and we found it. So thank you very much for letting me know about that. No doubt I would have come across it whilst I was sowing or harvesting. However, better to get it out now and then it's done. So thanks again for that. Just a quick one as well. If you haven't already been over and checked out Amir's Allotment, I suggest you maybe do. He does some great video footage, and he's itching to get going this year. He doesn't have a lot of subscribers at this moment, so I'm sure we would be grateful of anybody popping over there and giving him a bit of support. Right, so I'll just give you a quick look at what we've been doing. These are a few strawberry plants that we're salvaging. These are for my brother. We're going to pot those up shortly, and they're going to my brother. Tony's now disassembled all of this framing, and he's in the middle. He's just dug those few strawberry plants out. The rest are just going to get binned, because I've got new ones from Teddy King, and I've got some runners off these, and I also have some perpetual strawberries as well. So these have seen the day. They can come out, and this bed is coming out as well, and we're going to work out whether we're going to get 2 or 3 of the new style beds in, which is these ones here. They're much deeper, made out of scaffolding boards, and they're cut a specific size for me pop-up cages to sit on top of there. We've now got all of this bed weeded and dressed off and topped up with our compost, and we've now got these 2 beds done as well. As I said, these ones were all rotivated and top dressed with fish blood and bone last year, so they should be fine. And we've still got the cabbages growing away merrily in there, but as you can see, it has dropped a depth, so we might still get some more compost and put a little bit more on these after the potatoes have come out on there. We'll get the potatoes growing in them first, and then we'll give them another top up, and likewise. But I have got another 7 bags actually of compost that I've counted up over there, and there's 7 bags over there now, more than I thought. So we'll get them put on here, and they'll make a dent in this anyways. And as I say, our Tony's just came up today, and he's absolutely, it was unexpected, but totally welcome, because I always get a lot of work done in a day when Tony arrives. He can do things in half the time it takes me to think about it. So yeah, brilliant. There'll be quite a lot of you will know Tony and have seen him on previous videos. And for those that haven't, well, this is my son Tony, who there's a lot of things I wouldn't have been able to do in here without his help. And it's always appreciated when he has a little bit of spare time. He's obviously got his own family to look after, and whenever he gets a spare minute or 2, he just pops through and he takes a lot of the heavy and hard work out of gardening for me and other jobs. Tony actually helped me put up this garage, build this, and all of the other sheds, including the 24-foot shed over there. And it did play a part in some of the building of this treehouse, which was made out of pallets all around the bottom. If you haven't seen that, pop back on the videos and have a look, and we'll see how we actually made this. And the top half, obviously I had to spend a bit of money on the 3x2 framing, but at that time this was like £2 a length. The same piece of wood now will cost you something ridiculous like £8 a length or something like that now. So we got this built just at the right time. So we're going to crack on and see if we can get these finished off, and then get this bed in place, and maybe 2 more made and then filled up, or get some soil in and make the paths between, to try and better utilise that big area that was the wasted space basically. I don't know what happened with that. That's one. So, as you can see, we've got Jay arrived as well now, and we've already got one bed into place. Like the other one ripped out, and we've got these ones that fit the pop-up cages, that are making them this size for those pop-up cages that we got last year that I've done a review on. And these are deeper as well. I'm going to have these as individual strawberry beds. So that's the first one. As you can see, they're wider than the original bed, not by much, but they are. But I still have this big wide path for getting my little sack tuck down, but I've narrowed this one because I only need to be able to walk up and down here to tend to this bed here. Looks looking quite nice. So we've levelled these up as well. I've just got bits of cardboard in the bottom to stop the compost falling out for now. I've still got the bottom boards to cut for these, and the ones on an angle. We'll need to cut angled ones out of what scraps of scaffolding board we have left and finish them off, screw to the posts. So we've levelled the beds up this time as well in here. Then then there'll be a little path between, and then the next bed, and then a little path between, and the next bed. So we'll crack on. I'll bring you back in a little bit. Right, that's it. Tony and Jay have now gone home, and thanks to them we've got all this done now. And this was all going to be a big-ish job, so I had already had one made. If you look back on one of the videos where I was reviewing the pop-up cages, I made a bed up specifically to the size, so they just fit straight over the top of these. So I've made these ones exactly the same, because I've got 2 of those pop-up cages and I'm going to buy a 3rd. And I haven't decided yet, but I may make the middle one into a tiered bed, a tiered strawberry bed, like making more beds internally and bring it up in height, and leaving these 2 here, but they're going to be good big deep beds. We ended up getting a phone call there, just had to take the phone call. So as you can see, we didn't have enough compost obviously, because we've got bigger beds, and what I've done is I've just packed cardboard in here, because you can see I still need to cut the bottom boards and the thin edged boards, as I said earlier. So we just need to cut a wedge shape to go in there and pin it, and likewise down here. So we've just got cardboard packed in for now, and we'll pack cardboard in here, and I'll probably line these with plastic as well, like we did with those beds up there, on the inside before we finish chopping them up. So yes, I'm going to have to buy some compost for this. But that's because they're extra beds, which I knew was going to happen. We also finally got the liner on the back of this compost bay, and I've just folded it over and tacked it down, and we've got this other in here where the plastic had deteriorated, and we've now got the greenery off the top of here in here, plus all the old strawberry plants, and we've put a layer of the chicken manure and wood chips on the top. Not too thick a layer because we don't want it to be all carbon and not so much nitrogen. However, there's a lot of chicken manure in there as well, but we'll put a good old thick layer of greens on next when we have some. And I've got all this brown material we can just keep on adding to it as we build this compost bin. So I'm at least nearly three-quarters of a compost bay ahead of where I was last year. I had nothing. These were 2 empty bays. So basically I'm three-quarters of a compost bay this year in advance, if that makes sense. So hopefully we could potentially end up with 2 half bins, or at least 1 full bin to go out next year, and not have to buy any compost. So yeah, all those beds are all dressed. These are just to finish off, but the main job is done. That's made a big difference, and basically this time I've levelled the beds as well. I know these were never levelled, but yeah, they've served the purpose. They probably should have been, and perhaps one day I might just raise the edges up and yeah, fill them up. It's just the bigger you make them and the deeper you make them, the more and more and more compost you need to do that. So yeah, and as I say, all these beds were all dug over last year with the rotavator, fish blood and boned, and then they had bags, I don't know, 5 or 6 bags I think it was on each bed on top as well. And likewise with this one got rotavated, fish blood and boned, and I think I put about maybe 12 bags on this one here. So yeah, all coming to, almost ready for this year's growing season. It's all taking shape. So I'm just having a quick look at the seeds that we sown last week, which was only 6 days ago, and as yet we're not seeing anything at all. I sort of wouldn't have expected it. 10 days perhaps, so midweek we might see some action in there, perhaps, unless we get some more frost. Right, that's a cracking job. I've been going to do that strawberry bed for I don't know how long, and when Tony arrived at this one, he says, "Is there anything you need doing?" And I says, "Well, I've got this to still do, that to do, still to," and he says, "Right, when do you want it done?" I says, "Well, maybe next week." And he says, "No, we'll do it now." So we set to and started ripping it all out, and that's the end result. So happy days. All I've got to do now is cut the little small pieces, finish the bottoms of the beds off and fill them up. So cracking job. We've got the other 10 bags of compost on and dressed the other beds. So yeah, happy days. Took another 7 bags over there to drop on tomorrow as well, just to give it a thin layer on the top of the ones that's already been done, and we're good to go, ready for this season. So I'm delighted I'm this far ahead in January, and yeah, I know I'm under no illusions that the weather can turn really bad, even up till March or April. But once we get it, usually once you get February out of the way, you're over the hump, or the worst of it. So yeah, and I've taken a week off in February, second week in February I think, just to get any finalisation of things done that I want them done. I'm having my final cup of coffee and then I'm going down home. I just want to say again, thanks for popping along, following me along. Thanks for all your support, all your likes, dislikes, subscriptions, donations, the lot. As always guys, you know I appreciate it. And for now, wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be practical, keep yourselves out of harm's way. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.